Chapter 1 The Seventh Name. Enoch knew one of the lambs was missing before there was enough light to see their faces. The flock had an order when it slept. The older sheep settled against the mud wall, away from the wind. The younger ones crowded into the middle, where their bodies made a low mound of wool and warm breath. That morning the mound dipped on one side. Enoch stood inside the gate and listened. The settlement behind him was quiet. Ash covered the cooking fires, and the sky above the eastern hills had only begun to pale. A ewe near the wall raised her head and called. She had a torn ear, and a white lamb with a dark patch around its left eye. The lamb always slept close against her belly. It was not there. He moved between the animals, touching their backs so they would let him pass. The ewe called again. Several sheep answered, but the lamb did not. Near the fence, hooves had worked the ground into a confusion of shallow prints. Enoch crouched until his knees ached, trying to separate the smaller tracks from those of the ewes. At the bottom rail, one stone had rolled aside. A narrow opening remained beneath the wood, with 3 strands of white wool caught on a splinter. He pulled them free and held them against his palm. The lamb must have crawled under the fence. If he found it before Jared woke, perhaps no one would ask why the stones had not been checked after yesterday's watering. Enoch squeezed through the opening. The rail caught his tunic until he twisted free. The lamb had passed through a space scarcely wider than its body. He wondered what had drawn it out. There had been no storm, and the night dogs had not barked. Perhaps it had heard something. Perhaps it had pushed against the loose stone, and discovered the fence could open. The cold ground stung his bare feet. He followed the wall to the eastern side of the pen. A thornbush grew there, bent towards the fence by the wind. More white wool trembled among its branches. Beyond it, the land sloped into a dry channel filled with loose stone. Enoch took several steps down the slope before he saw the blood. There was very little, no more than a dark bead on pale stone. He touched it with one finger. It was still wet. The ewe called from the pen, and Enoch ran to wake his father. Jared sat up when Enoch entered. His hand closed around the stone knife beside his sleeping mat before his eyes were fully open. What happened? A lamb is gone. Jared released the knife. Which one? The white one with the dark eye. How do you know it is gone? Its mother is calling. There is a space where it sleeps. A stone moved beneath the fence, and I found wool on the wood and on a thorn outside. There is blood near the eastern channel. Baraka stirred beneath the wool covering. She pushed it aside and reached for her sandals. How much blood? Jared asked. 1 drop. Perhaps 2. Did you find tracks? No. The ground is hard. But it went east. What tells you that? The wool on the thorn. Jared waited. Enoch remembered walking past the bush the previous evening, but he had not examined its branches. I did not check whether the wool was there yesterday, he said. Jared stood and pulled on his outer garment. He tied the knife at his waist. Then we begin with what you know. Baraka poured water into a small skin and wrapped 2 pieces of flatbread in cloth. When she turned, she looked down at Enoch's feet. Put on your sandals. The channel stones will cut you. She knelt and fastened the leather straps around his ankles. Her fingers were quick, but she pulled each knot twice. Before standing, she placed a folded cloth in his hand. Enoch took it without asking why. At the pen, Jared examined the opening beneath the fence. He rubbed the wool between his fingers, then studied the disturbed soil. It passed through here, he said. Enoch let out his breath. They followed the wall to the thornbush. Jared tested the strands there and crouched near the first bloodstain. He found another farther down the slope, then a narrow hoof groove where dust had gathered beside a stone. He moved aside. Lead. The trail was easy at first. A drop of blood marked one stone, then another. Enoch found wool caught in coarse grass and a place where a hoof had slipped. The signs ended where flat rock covered the channel. He walked to the far edge and back, then returned to the last print and searched the same ground again. Jared watched from several paces away. "I lost it," Enoch said. The ground changed. "Look farther out." Enoch straightened. He examined the banks, the grass between rocks, and the low branches reaching into the channel. A bird hopped beneath a bush and scattered husks through the dust. Then Enoch saw a bent stem on the northern bank. Behind it, a leaf carried a rusty smear on its underside. The trail climbed into rough country. They found the print of a predator, where soil had gathered beneath an overhanging rock. Enoch thought it belonged to a wolf, but Jared pointed to the rounded pad. "No claws," he said. "A cat." The rocks above offered many hiding places. Jared loosened the knife in its sheath, and told Enoch to stay within reach. Near the top of the channel, he stopped to study the ridge, tested the wind and listened. Nothing moved. He offered Enoch a piece of bread. "I am not hungry." "Eat some. The lamb may be close." "It will still be close after 3 bites." Enoch ate while watching the rocks. The bread was dry and hard to swallow. Jared gave him the water skin, waited until he drank, then continued. Sunlight touched the high ground while the channel remained cold. Enoch found more wool and a dark streak where the lamb had dragged itself between 2 stones. After that, the trail disappeared again. He was searching the ground when he heard a thin sound beneath the wind. He raised his hand and Jared stopped. The sound came once more, too weak to be a proper bleat. They found the lamb in a hollow among the rocks. It lay on its side with its legs drawn close. Blood had dried along its flank, and one hind leg bent beneath it badly. The patch around its eye made it easy to recognize. Enoch dropped beside it. The lamb tried to lift its head. Its mouth opened, but only a rough breath came out. "We can carry it," Enoch said. Jared knelt and examined the wound. He felt along the broken leg, then parted the blood-stiffened wool at the animal's side. "A splint will hold the leg. Mahalalel bound a goat's leg last winter. The leg is not the worst wound." Enoch unfolded the cloth Baraka had given him, and pressed it to the lamb's side. The animal shuddered beneath his hand. "I can stop the blood." Jared covered Enoch's hand with his own. "It will die before we reach home." "Then let it die there. Every step will hurt it." Enoch watched the lamb's mouth. Its breath came in quick shallow pulls. "We should try." Jared sat back. Dust lay in the lines around his eyes. "There is nothing left for us to mend." He drew the stone knife and told Enoch he could wait by the channel. Enoch stayed beside the lamb. "You do not have to see this," Jared said. "I found it." Jared looked at him for a moment, then nodded. He placed one hand beneath the lamb's jaw. The knife moved once. The lamb gave a single tremor and became still. Blood crossed the stone in a narrow stream. It reached the soil, gathered in a shallow hollow, and slowly sank. The red faded first at the edges. Soon the ground held only a dark stain. Jared wiped the blade with dry grass. "We should take it home." "Where did it go?" Enoch asked. "The blood." "The lamb." Jared looked at the small body between them. "I know what happened to its body. I do not know the rest." He wrapped the lamb in his outer garment before lifting it. Enoch tucked the loose corner beneath its head. They carried it home together. Jared took most of the weight, but Enoch kept both hands beneath its shoulders. Blood dried between his fingers. The settlement was awake when they returned. A fire had been kindled, and smoke drifted above the roofs. Baraka met them at the pen, and examined the blood on Enoch before she touched the bundle. When Jared told her it was not his, she nodded once and sent a younger cousin for water. The lamb was skinned. Its meat was divided, the hide stretched for cleaning and the sinew saved. Jared repaired the opening beneath the fence with a larger stone, and drove a wooden peg behind it. He made Enoch push against the rail from both sides before accepting the repair. The ewe with the torn ear returned to the place where the lamb had slept. She lowered her nose to the trampled earth, circled once and called. Enoch brought her water, though the trough was already full. When she refused it, he gathered the loose bedding and spread fresh straw beneath the wall. The work changed nothing she could understand. Still, Jared let him finish before sending the remaining flock out to graze. Work moved from one pair of hands to another. Enoch watched the hide being drawn away. Once the meat had been carried off and the stone washed, there was no whole lamb left to look at. Baraka led him to the water jar. "Open your hands." He had closed them without noticing. Dried blood cracked across his knuckles when he spread his fingers. She poured water while he rubbed them together. Red ran from his palms into the dust. Baraka poured again, and worked at the line beneath his thumbnail with the corner of the cloth. She did not ask him to speak. At the evening meal, Enoch could not eat the meat. Jared noticed the untouched portion and passed him bread instead. No one told him which share had come from the lamb. He was grateful and ashamed of the relief. Later, when the others had settled, Enoch sat near the hearth. At family gatherings, the elders recited the fathers from Adam onward. Enoch's name came seventh. He could say the line without pausing: Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch. Each name held a place among people who would repeat it. The lamb had no name for anyone to recite. By the next birthing season, another young animal might stand beside the ewe with the torn ear. The repaired fence would remain, but someone seeing the larger stone would know only that Jared had wanted the rail made firm. Baraka had left a lump of damp clay beside a cracked jar she was repairing. Enoch pinched off a piece and flattened it against his palm. He pressed a curved line into the clay. Beside it he made a smaller groove, shaped like the patch around the lamb's eye. The two cuts made no word. If Baraka saw them, she would have to ask what they meant. Enoch considered adding the broken leg, the hollow among the rocks and the blood sinking into the soil. The piece was too small, and he did not know how to cut any of those things. He placed the clay beside the fire. The wet shine slowly left its surface. By the time Baraka covered the coals, it had begun to harden. Enoch touched the smaller groove once. His finger found it in the dark.